Hello, Tarot Heathens. This is Liz again for another deck review, and this time we are going to be talking about the Emerging from Darkness tarot deck by Robin Cole. And this was on Kickstarter, and I just got it yesterday. But I have been working with the PDF that Robin had sent out a couple weeks ago that I had printed and put into this really sturdy binder. So I've been working with it already, and her system of different tarot spreads for different shadows like guilt and anger, self-loathing, shame and envy, and I think there's a total of 7 or 8 shadows, and we'll talk about that. But I am in love with this system. I think it's so transformative that it takes each shadow. So perhaps you pick one. After you identify what your shadows are in a spread, then you can pick it apart little by little and kind of get to the root of where the shadow is coming from, how to transform it, and then integrate it into your life so it's no longer something that continues to trigger you in the same types of ways. So let's first talk about the PDF. Now, since I haven't been able to use the deck, let me just talk about this first. I have been using the Dark Grimoire Tarot to serve the purpose of the deck that I have been using to do the spreads. And I do have to say that this deck, for me, has really been insightful and effective at targeting those shadows and kind of getting me in the right state of mind to look at the problems that lie underneath the things in my life that bother me. So, something like the Justice card, like that could mean so many different things with that voodoo doll. Like, who is that person or thing that I wish didn't exist anymore? So it really forces me to ask those questions. And this card has come up a lot for me, like the Six of Chalices. This right here, that little book that she has set behind her, and she's kind of just watching the world go by, possibly reminiscing, possibly thinking about how things used to be, and she's no longer pursuing the things that are important to her. And the book in this deck is a theme that moves throughout. Obviously, this deck was inspired by the writings of H.P. Lovecraft. I edged it in a really pretty blue, so that's H.P. Lovecraft. And so if you look come on, that could be anything or anyone. I mean, are you the person in danger, or are you the person inflicting the harm? I mean, it really, like this guy, this is the Three of Pence. He's like, hold on, just back up a second. So it's just, there's so much in here. And what is that gem that he's carrying? This is the Knight of Pentacles. Let me see if I can find real quick an ace. Okay, so all the aces are books, so it's kind of like the potential. It hasn't been opened yet, but the potential is there for that particular suit and that particular the energy of that element. So I'm not going to go too much into detail with that. I will probably be doing a review on this deck in particular soon, but I have been enjoying this deck as well, and I cannot wait to dive into this one. So let's take a look at my PDF that I have printed. So one of the tiers that you could choose included a printed book, but I didn't choose that. And I was so anxious to get started with this process that I had it printed. I'm not sure it was, cost effective to do it this way, but I really just wanted something that I could lay flat. you know, like, oops, sorry, banged the camera. Just be able to spread out and pick out pages as I wanted. And what was really cool about that was that she had, you know, I actually had been a part of her Facebook group, and some of the spreads that were in the book did not have any place that you could like write on. So I asked if there was a way that we could do that, or I think I may have like shown an example of a spread that I did that I kind of just like worked in my verbiage here and there. But then she was so kind enough to like go back into these spreads, like the pages in the guidebook where the spreads were, and she created a spread worksheet for the particular shadow and did it for all of them. So there's different, let me talk a little bit about the layout of the guidebook and the types of shadows that we'll be exploring. So this has been really fundamental for me to have, so that I have a place to kind of work through some of these things. So now I have kind of gotten into working with the shadows, and I'm not going to be showing you those spreads because they are obviously personal to me. So here we go. So here are the shadows that you'll be working with: denial, desire, envy, shame, anger, self-loathing, fear, and guilt. So that's 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. So there's 7. Let's see. So you have the initial overall shadow identification. So that's one spread that goes through all of these, and so you would select a card randomly for each of these shadows, and then you would kind of journal on that to kind of get an idea as like why is that particular energy attached to that particular shadow. So that was really, you know, enlightening for me as well. So that's one spread. And then you have each of these, you have for each of the shadows, you have a shadow identification, you have the shadow excavation, the exploration, transformation, and integration. Let's see. I may be wrong about having all of these. So I think that the shadow identification is just the one for them all. And then each shadow has 4 spreads. So 4 times 8, you know, that's how many spreads this is a process. So here's the shadow identification. And I've already gone through this, and I've identified each of my shadows. And this is the page that I initially just blah, 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 started writing. And then she so kindly made one that had lines after each one, so I could kind of tap into a little bit more of the energies associated with each shadow. So this is the one. And then you have the shadow excavation, which kind of talks about, so for denial, let's say, you get to the root. Where does denial come from? And then you would pull a card for that. What trauma has the shadow caused your psyche? And for me, when I'm shuffling and when I'm thinking about these questions, I rephrase it into what trauma has denial caused my psyche. So I don't read how it's printed. I rephrase it so I can actually think about it in more personal terms. So there's that, and I'll just give you an example of the PDFs that she sent us. So as you can see, I kind of identified each section. So shadow exploration. You talk about how is the shadow presenting itself now in my life? Where is it affecting me most? So here's how it came with the standard PDF. This is just like Sharpie marker that bled through. But this, so it's the same thing: present, pain, process, that she actually just created lines for us. So I have printed out these pages and put them into my guidebook, which is really cool because had I, got the standard guidebook, these would all be separate. So now I get to include this one, and I just identified, so there's a shadow exploration for all of the shadows, and I just labeled it whichever shadow it is that I'm working on, and denial I have not gotten to yet. So I cannot, if you purchase this deck, this is the magic right here, is in these pages where you tap into what the shadow is. So from the identification spread, you would again pull that same major arcana card, and for the exploration, so it's excavation, let's go back, excavation, exploration, transformation, as you can see that, and integration. So those are the spreads. And for the overall shadow identification, you would use the major arcana. For all of these other spreads, you would pull the major arcana card for that particular shadow that you pulled, and then you would use the minor arcana for the rest of these spreads, which I think is brilliant, because really the shadows, since they are triggers, they are major life events for you, and everything else is kind of like, how is it working in my everyday life, which is what the minor arcana is, designed for. It's to kind of tap into those everyday energies that affect us. So I thought that was brilliant. And then as we move along in the guidebook, we get into the majors, and it talks a little bit about each card. And it's got a black and white. Obviously these are black and white, and I had my PDF of the guidebook printed in black and white because it would just have been ridiculously expensive. But there is some color in the deck, but the majority of the pictures are black and white with pops of color here and there. And then you get into the cups. I love that one. I love how white her fingernails are. And it talks a little bit about, one thing I wanted to mention was in the majors, also what she has done, look, this is the moon. The shadow keyword, so already everything in this description of the card has been put in shadow, so it's almost like it's reverse, which makes sense because we're digging into shadows, right? So the shadow keywords are fantasy versus reality, out of control emotions, fear and confusion, which makes sense for the moon in reverse or in shadow. And it talks about what that could mean, and a little bit about the creator Robin and her acquisition of the picture, the type of symbology that might be in there. So I love that that's included, because I always find it important, for me anyway, to understand, like, what does this mean? What is this imagery supposed to symbolize? Like, what did the creator have in mind for that? And that, I take it or leave it. If it's something that is like, that's interesting, I'll keep it and I'll use that as part of my interpretation of the card. But if it doesn't, then I'll just leave it. And I'm just glad to have access to that information. So then for the minors, we just have our standard keywords. So the majors are in shadow, the minors are not, which is interesting, because, shadows can manifest themselves in multiple different ways. It doesn't always have to be negative. It could be an overdoing of some energy. So it's not technically negative. Let's say, if you were feeling that you give too much, right? You don't know when to say no. That could manifest itself in ways where you overdo things and you kind of stretch yourself too thin. So you're giving to others, and that's a good thing. So it's not technically in shadow, but the consequence to it is a depletion of your energy, a slow building of resentment, that sort of thing. So we're not going to go through all of this, but it kind of, here's the swords. What's interesting is that the quartz are separated from the 1 through 10s of each suit. So I kind of had to, go back and separate out the quartz and give them their own labels. So what I like about the quartz is that really kind of, the images are well chosen. See, this would be a different color, and we'll look at the deck in just a moment, but I had it printed in black and white. This part is black and white, but this section here where the label is in color, except for the minor arcana, which it is not. I love the images that she chose, especially for the quartz, because the quartz can be difficult to wrap your head around if it's just a person sitting in a throne or a person on a horse, so it really kind of, it highlights the energy of that particular personality type. So I'm going to go ahead and close this, and maybe on the way of closing it, so like here's self-loathing, here's excavation, and it has a little, image and a little bit about the shadow itself and what you can expect. So let's go ahead and take that away. And this is also what came with the deck. I did not get the pouch, which I kind of regret doing because I'm not a fan of tuck boxes. I don't think they last long at all, and if you have any intention of using the deck for, regular use, this is not going to last. So I may kind of look into that and see if I can purchase it after the fact. And there was also an option to add on a spread cloth of the Emerging from Darkness. Now this spread cloth, if you've watched any of my videos, I'm a fairly new channel, this is my go-to spread cloth. I don't know why. It's just something that I really enjoy. It's like from Spirit Halloween store. They don't sell it anymore, but it's got like the Magician, the Lovers, the Fool. It's got all the astrological symbols, and it kind of just like puts me in the mood of like, going deeper into the cosmos, into my own psyche, that sort of thing. So we have a lovely, this is the sticker that came on the outside of the wrapping, the tissue paper that the deck was wrapped in. And I just stuck it to this one, and it says, "Thank you for supporting Emerging from Darkness. Love, Robin." So also I wanted to say that Robin as a creator is just lovely. I have been in contact with her multiple times because when I tried to print the PDF guidebook for this deck, as well as for her beautiful Rebellion Tarot, which is another one of my all-time favorites, FedEx gave me a problem because of they're really sticklers for copyright, and if you want to reproduce it, they need explicit approval from the creator. So I had to contact her and get like an email signifying that it's okay for me to print it, and she was just more than happy to do that for me. So I'm really happy with working with her as a creator. So we'll put that off to the side, and here's the title card, and here's like an example of the backs. I'm not like too excited about the backs. Like, I don't really know what that is. It feels like thin ice, like the crackling of thin ice. And I guess that would be apt for the deck because you're trying to crack through something that isn't always visible to our conscious mind. So I guess I can live with that, if that's what that is. I'm not sure, but let's just go with that. So here's the deck. Are you ready to face your shadow? Shadow work, a concept created by renowned psychologist Carl Jung, is the process of exploring your inner darkness or shadow self. The shadow self contains the parts of ourselves that we wish to keep hidden, sometimes even from ourselves. By using tarot cards, we can help bring those hidden parts out into the light where we can work through them, discarding them or incorporating them into our lives as needed. So we all have shadows, and it's so critical to understanding ourselves is like, what are the things that are holding us back? And that's kind of where I've been understanding it, is like using tarot just in everyday use helps tap into those energies, but really, really sinking your teeth into the things that are deep and difficult to unravel, that's the process of shadow work. So I'm just more than thrilled to be going on this journey, because already just in working with the spreads, it has been so transformative already. Okay. Oh, so this box has like a little lip here, so it kind of like opens a little bit further, I guess. And that may help with, the longevity of the box, hopefully. Okay, so again, here are the backs. It's gilded in this really glittery silver, but I don't mind it, because that like really solid silver or gold gilding tends to be really sharp, and when you peel it apart, it never feels comfortable to shuffle, in my opinion. So when you first get this deck, this is in order. When you first get this deck, they are kind of stuck together, and I have already gone through the deck, obviously, and separated them. So now they're nice and like level. When I first got them, when I first pulled them out of the package, they were like offset. I'm like, oh no, they were miscut, but no, they were just stuck together. So here's the little cheat sheet, as Robin calls it, that has a few keywords for all of the cards. And there's an extra card in this deck called the Mother of Shadows, and that's just a card that lets you know that you're not alone and that you have guidance and support in the process of moving through shadow work, which I think is lovely. Okay, so let's go through the cards. So we have the Chariot. So I'm not going to go through all of the cards, but just enough that you kind of get a feel for the deck. So we have the car moving, and this is not like drawn art. This is digital, or pictures basically put through a filter and shifted, and I'm not exactly sure how she did it, but I don't have a problem with that. This may not be an art style that appeals to all people, but I feel like it's appropriate for shadow work, because things are kind of shady and you can't always make out what's going on until you dig deeper. So we have, every card has the label here on the bottom right. We have Strength. This reminds me of like the statue outside of one of the museums in Chicago. The Moon, as we saw in the guidebook, kind of shaded and can't see it completely clearly. The Hermit. We have our Lantern, and we, there's certain things like what's coming through the mountains. The Mother of Wands. In just one image, you can kind of capture the energy of the Queen of Wands with her spirit and her confidence. The Nine of Wands, defending, on the lookout for danger. Two of Cups, and I love that this deck is diverse, and it includes different body types and ages and ethnicities as well. Justice. See, this one is really cool. You can really see the red of the wine, and I love wine, so this card is totally for me. Cheers. Father of Swords. Yep. He knows what he wants and he's going to get it. You know, but he's also someone who has achieved a lot and seen a lot and can offer lots of wisdom. 8 of Coins. I felt like that was a football helmet, but I'm not sure. It's some kind of protective headwear at work. Son of Swords. I love this. Like, I have no idea what equation he's working on, but his mind is working hard. Oh, and for the courts, it goes daughter, son, mother, and father. Just so that you're aware, there's no like page, knight, queen, and king. But the rest, so we have coins for pentacles, but the rest of them are cups, swords, and wands. Death is the red of the flowers here. There's one card I wanted to show you that's my absolute favorite. 5 of Wands. You know, this one's interesting because 5 of Wands typically means like kind of a competition, but these people are united in their purpose against something else. Or perhaps they're just cheering on a particular like soccer team or something, you know? So that's kind of interesting. 10 of Swords. This to me is a man who was just fired from his job. So he's got his box of belongings and it's over. But there's still hope there. I mean, he looks like, you know, he's contemplating what this means and what the next step is, but it's not, there's still hope. And I do enjoy that these images are reminiscent of people and activities that you would see in today's world. There's a daughter of Swords planning. 4 of Cups, I love it. It's like stabilized emotions. It's not so much apathy, which it can be, you know, difficult. Like you have the celebration of the 3 and then the 4 is like, what? Is this it? Is this all there is? What else is left? But I love that there's a going inside here in the 4 of Cups, which is different. It's a different energy than the 4 of Swords, which is rest. 5 of Cups, like, I have this mug. Let me show you. It's my favorite. It's from Sedona, Arizona. And my coffee in there. I forget this guy's name. It's gonna bother me, but this is the guy who you see him all over Sedona. And if someone, my kids, my husband, were to break my mug like this cup is broken, I would be so sad. Yeah, so 5 of Cups. 7 of Swords. Look at her nails. You know, it's there's definitely a deceit happening there, but is she justified? Is she trying to protect herself? What is the reason behind it? The Tower. Definitely got the lightning. You know, maybe I will go through all of the cards. Try not to talk too much. 3 of Coins, working together. I love his red tie. 8 of Wands, speed. Things are happening. 4 of Coins, I love it. Saving. Are you penny pinching or saving for something else? Son of Coins, working at his craft. Mother of Coins. Now I feel like because she's rolling out dough, it's kind of more of a giving, nurturing type of energy there. But she's still working hard at her craft. 6 of Swords. Are you the one watching someone go, or are you the one leaving? Temperance. I feel like this is also the image from the Augenblick Tarot, where 2 streams merge into one. Ace of Cups. Holding that cup of, again, mugs. I love my mug. I love my coffee. But the emotion, I feel like the cups are just a receptive energy. You're not pushing back, you're receiving and listening and moving in from the heart. I think we looked at this picture also in the guidebook, Son of Cups. You see how it's blue? And in the guidebook, I had mine as gray. Yep. Is he going to propose? Mother of Cups. She's got her Tibetan singing bowl. I teach yoga, and I love the sound. It is so calming. I've been to song or even crystal bowl sound baths, I think they call them. Just totally puts you in that meditative place. Father of Cups, yeah, he's helping people. Daughter of Coins. See, she's got a passion, and she's watching and learning. Ace of Coins. The Emperor. The Hanged Man. Love it. Three of Swords. Still got that heartbreak element. Daughter of Cups. The High Lord, the Priestess. Now for me, this card really, I get the symbology and the ripe fruit and the pomegranate seeds being the seeds of your intuition. But it doesn't really inspire that feeling of depth and inner knowing for me. The Wheel. I love this. Ferris wheel. Seven of Coins. Waiting and watching to see what the fruits of your labor will manifest. Eight of Coins. So you can really make out this guy here in the cars. But he's leaving something. And there's the mug again. The Empress. Got your blooming lotus. Seven of Wands. Yeah. Defending. Or the Nine of Wands is more defending, but the Seven is kind of you're actively preserving and fighting against the attacks and the blows that are coming at you. Five of Swords. Who's going to win? Three of Cups. That coffee looks so yummy. And they look so happy. Ten of Wands, she's got a long way to go. She's got a burden, but she's got a path forward. Judgment. See, I love this. It's kind of instead of the scary, oh my gosh, all of my sins are coming up and now I'm being judged for it. It's a release of that and a move back into wholeness. Father of Wands. Oh, yeah, he's an entrepreneur on his boat, living it up. Ace of Wands. The Spark. Six of Wands. Yay! I run 5Ks also, so I love that. The energy of accomplishment. I did it. Yay, you did it. All right, Nine of Cups. Wine. Yum, yum. This is, he's got a lot to be proud of. Maybe that's his business, his establishment. The World. You got your suitcase ready to go. Mother of Swords. She's definitely a professional. Oh, the Four of Swords. Rest. Different than the Four of Cups, right? Two of Coins. Got to decide what are you going to invest in? How are you going to balance these? The Hierophant. The knowledge to impart to others. The Lovers. You have your your wedding rings, 6 of Cups, all lemonade stand. 7 of Cups, I think this is the most color that any of the cards have. What are you going to choose? And I think let's take this one and I'll pull out the guidebook. I'm not going to read this whole thing, but let's just look at the creator notes. Cupcakes are glorious things. Those little brightly frosted morsels of cake promise sweetness and satisfaction in a few small bites. When they're all laid out like that on display, there is something so magical about them. I find them much more enticing than a whole cake for whatever reason. Maybe it's that part of my brain tricking me into thinking that it's small, so therefore it can't be that bad for me. The parallels between the line of thinking and the 7 of Cups is uncanny. This card is all about the little white lies we tell yourself, or we tell ourselves, so we can indulge in some wishful thinking, and maybe that's all a cupcake really is. Really cool. So I'm gonna, do a little shuffle after and talk about the cardstock as well. Let's just kind of get through these. 6 of Coins. Are you donating or are you the one receiving? The Devil. Look at that rope. It's so ragged and it probably feels so uncomfortable, but maybe it's not that tight around your wrists after all. Ace of Swords. I love that fountain pen. Pen is mightier than the sword. This is such a cool card. Look at this. 2 of Swords. The indecision. Look at her lips. So she's got to choose, and she's got to, not work so much from the head, but from the heart, since she can't see. The Fool with his baggie of goods. I like to think that the Fool carries with them the seeds of all of the suits. The Magician. Now, although we don't have the traditional images of the suits present, we do get that feeling of having access to the things we need to manifest. 3 of Wands. So after we've done the decision, now we're planning for further progress. 5 of Coins. So he looks so sad, but he has that nice warm cuppa in his hand to warm his bones. The Sun. See, this is another one of the ones that is hard to kind of see, but you get the point. 4 of Wands. We've done the work and now we can take some time to celebrate. 9 of Coins. Yep. We've gotten to a place where we can feel comfortable, financially possibly, that we can enjoy the fruits of our labors. 10 of Coins. You've done it. Either you sold your house on to bigger and better things, or you bought your first home. Daughter of Wands. She's ready to be a hero. Son of Wands. Yep, he's off. Father of Coins, tending the fields. Look, he's built his castle in the background, and now he's just enjoying retirement. 2 of Wands, which way do we go? The Star. 8 of Swords. See, she's in like a jacket with her wrists bound, but her wrists are not tied together, so she can move about. 9 of Swords. Oh, waking up, like just being racked by thoughts or doubt and worry, anxiety. And here it is, Mother of Shadows. This is like she's offering a guiding hand through the woods, maybe into or out of the woods. We don't know. I like that. I'm not sure that I would use this in a reading for shadows because it doesn't offer enough information about, well, I guess you could say, like, okay, so if I were to do a reading on denial about how this is manifesting in the present, maybe I'm denying that there is help available, but it just gets a little tricky. I mean, I could see this in a standard reading, but I would want more concrete information. Let's read this one too. Okay, move these cards out of the way. Okay, so the teacher, healing, self-reliance, guidance, understanding, sympathetic, empathic, the one who has come before. Sometimes when working through shadow and delving so deeply into the symbolism of tarot, we forget that we are not an island. There are others out there who we can lean on, talk to, trade war stories with. She is our teacher on the road to healing, a force of self-reliance and inner knowing. There will be times when shadow might simply be too, what does it say? Too heavy of a weight. Remember that you are never alone. So the creator notes, I wanted the Mother of Shadows to have a bit of a fantastical witchy feel to her. What can I say that appeals to the 16-year-old goth in my soul? She's a bit mysterious as she reaches out, beckoning us to take her hand as she leads us through the woods. When Ethany Dawn reviewed Emerging from Darkness, she asked if the woman on the card was me. I was, and still am, incredibly flattered that she thought so, but no. The woman used for the image on this card is not me unless we're talking in spirit, then yes. She very much is my soul put to paper. So, again, that's up to you to decide whether or not you would use this card in your shadow readings. And there it is. Let's give this baby a shuffle. The cardstock is nice. I don't know the GSM of it though, but I'd have to say around 350-ish. Now, I don't typically riffle shuffle gilded decks unless I know they're going to stand up, but let's do it. Oh yeah, shuffles really nicely. Let's just shuffle here and pull a card. Overhands nicely, except, you know, my camera's in the way. Oh, this one popped out. 5 of Cups. Oh my goodness. Is somebody gonna break my mug? I don't know. But yeah, you know, and also this 5 of Cups makes me think about what's truly important. So yeah, have I had things, you know, material possessions destroyed, ruined, whatever, when my kids were younger? Yeah, but you know what? They can be replaced, and if they can't, they're just things. The 3 cups that are still there, the family element, is what's truly important. So, you know what? It's just a thing. There are other things that can replace it. But the people and, you know, the things that matter in life are really what you should be focusing on. And feeling gratitude for that, and not always focusing on the things that you don't have. So yeah, that is Emerging from Darkness, and I highly, highly, highly recommend it. And if you have this deck, or you ordered it from Kickstarter, or you're thinking about buying it when it becomes available for, you know, purchase, which I believe she will have other decks available. Don't quote me on that, but let me know what you think. Like, how does the artwork speak to you? What about the guidebook? What about the process of shadow work? What do you use if you've done shadow work before? What's your favorite go-to deck that speaks to your deep inner soul? Anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.